Welcome to Star-Powered Astrology for Changemakers. I'm Leslie Tagorda, your guide, a Hawaii-born Filipino-Jewish astrologer who loves navigating visionaries like you through the spiritual journey of your work so that you can be inspired to lead by your chart and become the luminary leader you were born to be. Hey everyone, Leslie Tagorda back again. So in the last episode, we were really exploring what it is to own your star powers. And Cecilia was just the glowing example of really recognizing and stepping into your star powers through your change-making work. Well, this week, I wanted to continue on about that star-powered story and really discover how you can spark your inner revolution as well as your outer revolution using astrology. Earlier this week, I got to share my complete new framework in my masterclass called Radiate, activating the luminary leader within. It was so exciting to share brand new content. And of course, there was a little bit of edge because I've never presented this content before. I had no idea how it was going to come out. But all I knew was that I had this inner desire to share this information and really show people how to radiate their superpowers in their change-making work. Well, thank you to the over 70 people that showed up live. And thank you to all of those that are continuing to watch the replay of the masterclass, because I've only heard such amazing feedback about the masterclass and the invitation at the very end of the masterclass. One of my favorite testimonials came from Katie, and she said, "This was one of the most enjoyable and insightful masterclasses I've attended." And really, that brings such joy to my heart because I didn't want to just promote this new offering that I had, but I really wanted to leave the ahas of what it means to radiate your star powers. So, today, what I wanted to share with you in order to spark your revolution is I wanted to define a revolution from the perspective of astrology. And then I wanted to share a couple of things that gets in the way of sparking our own inner revolution as well as our outer revolution. And then I want to show you how to spark that revolution using your own astrology. Revolution. I've just been thinking about revolution so much because revolution is actually really important in astrology, not just history, but also in astrology. In astrology, you might have heard of the Saturn return or the solar return every birthday. In astrology, a revolution happens when we come to a beginning of a cycle in time, such as when Saturn returns to that place that it was when you were born every 30 years, or when the sun returns to the exact degree and minute as you were born almost every 365 days. And so in astrology, when a planet returns to the exact same position, it completes and begins a new cycle. This is called a revolution because we are returning back to that exact same point. Well, the planet of revolution and awakening, Uranus, his process is to change, to awaken, to innovate, and to return into a new perspective. So when we think about astrology from the perspective of Uranus and his process to revolutionize, as well as sun, moon, all the planets being able to complete a revolution around the sun, what's really important to know about a revolution that sometimes this revolution is returning to something and finding new uses for it. And so, one of the things that I've been really talking about in 2022 in the stars is just with Uranus being in Taurus this year and connecting to the North Node earlier this year, about how Mother Earth is returning to an old purpose or refashioning ancient technologies and finding new uses for it. It's no wonder that in this year we've heard such a acceleration in regenerative farming and rematriation, and really looking to the original stewards of the land to take more care and take more leadership in us us harnessing the ecology and restoring the environment. And that's just one way to use ancient technologies. I've seen a lot of my clients return to ancient breathing techniques or ancient crystals in order to use them as healing. And this is only going to grow. That is one way of a revolution. And personally, sometimes this revolution is returning to a previous state and seeing the beauty in operating in that state. One of the stories that I shared in that masterclass, and I've shared it with you before, is this idea where when we start to look at our star powers and recognize our star powers, oftentimes we're like, oh, I used to do that in that way, or I used to say that exact same thing. And we return to using a same message or using a same color palette or returning back to a talent that we had forgotten about. And that also is a revolution. When we choose to revolutionize, it's an awakening, it's gaining a new perspective. And while change makers like yourself are here to revolutionize something in the world to make it a better and just place through your work, that revolution, that outer revolution that you want to spark change in the world, starts with you. That's right. Let me just review what I mean by a change maker. I suspect that you already know that you're a change maker, but the way that I look at a change maker is that these are folks that won't or can't work in conventional jobs or industries, or they do work in a conventional job and they're working on breaking old systems from within. Change makers are people that want to create the future they want to see, again, a socially, economically, environmentally sound and just world. Maybe you might be a business owner, you might be an entrepreneur, you might be an activist, you might be a community organizer, a philanthropist, maybe you're even a healer. Whatever you call yourself, I see you as a change maker here to spark a revolution. And to revolutionize the world starts with revolutionizing yourself. I spoke that earlier. To be a star powered luminary is to be lit from within, operating at your highest potential, and being a leader as well as doing the inner healing work simultaneously. And of course, using astrology to direct your way. And you know that I already see you as a luminary, but I know you can take it even further, all the way to the moon. If you want to dive in deeper into that conversation, make sure you catch a replay of Radiate. It's now available at starpower.com/radiate. I go all the way into what it means to be a star powered luminary and how you are meant to tap into your sun's superpowers. Now, but what gets us in the way of sparking our own inner revolution? I've seen so many different things. And it mostly comes from this idea of fear of the unknown or getting stuck in your old stories and belief. In Radiate, we're talking a lot about fear of the unknown, especially with this past eclipse. The eclipse was showing us the things that we needed, the shame and the fears that we needed to bring to the surface so that we could get acquainted with it, so that we could acknowledge them, so that we could accept it. Now, sometimes that acceptance is one little step, but how do we get past that acceptance and break free from the old stories and the beliefs that really control so many of our actions? And these old stories, we have to decide, we have to know, we have to discover if these stories and beliefs come from within ourselves, or maybe these stories and beliefs come from society, our culture, maybe your family, or from experiences that you've had growing up. So, when we're thinking about our inner revolution, this fear and getting stuck can definitely dull us from sparking that inner revolution. Our karmic planets in our astrology, and the karmic planets are the planets that kind of connect us to the past or show us the things that we've brought into this lifetime. So, we can think about the moon that connects us to our past. We can think of the base of our chart at the IC as the things that we have come into this world knowing. We can look at our south node, which also shows us the things that we can fall back on. But our south node also shows us where we can easily get stuck in those patterns because they are so easy and known. But our karmic planets, and but we'll throw in Saturn there too, because Saturn shows us what we need to crystallize and master and show us our own inner authority. But these karmic planets and energies show us the gifts that we already have to easily fall back on in this lifetime. And they give us a sense of security. I'm going to say a little sense of false security because these karmic energies keep us from moving towards our highest potential. And our Dharma planets, like our sun and our rising and our north node and our midheaven, those Dharma planets where we're supposed to stretch into, especially our energies of our sun, it's so easy to dismiss the natural talent and radiance that comes from in our sun. And so, in order to spark our inner revolution, we need to know which karmic planets are operating and keep us stuck in the comfort and security of the known instead of taking the risks into our highest potentials of the unknown. And we need to know the value and the power and the radiance of our Dharma so that we can choose to express them in our work. So it was super fun because during Radiate, I took everybody through an exercise of revealing their sun sign. If you've worked with me in my courses, Written in the Stars or Star Powered Position, we focus a lot on the sun because the sun represents in our work and in our leadership the what we do so well. We can look at our sun's sign, its house placement, its different aspects to really come to completing this phrase: there is no one else that can dot dot dot. And so it was super fun to take everybody through this sun sign exercise. And I really encourage people to look at that underside of the sun sign, that soft, tender part that we might be denying or dismissing. It's easy to like pull apart our sun sign and pull all the strengths. For example, I am an Aquarius sun in the ninth house and it's conjunct Jupiter. And so I know that my strengths are innovation, doing things differently, and really looking to the highest, biggest purpose and maximizing things. Um, I would say not so long ago, even though I knew that I always looked at things differently, I wasn't expressing it. I was often dismissing it, like the ease of how I can take to technology, and not really valuing all my innovation and my change and the differences that I see and the differences that I am. And it took me a long time to come to terms with valuing what comes so easily to me. And I saw this recognition in everybody in the masterclass when I noticed people to ask themselves, when I asked people, hey, are you actually dismissing your sun sign by devaluing it? Because when we devalue the strengths that we naturally have that can be expressed through our sun sign, its placements, and its aspects. By devaluing, we are giving our power away, we are lowering our worthiness, and you know what? We're also giving a big middle finger to the universe. Because when we dismiss our soul given superpower, it can be taken as a sign of entitlement or ungratefulness. And this is that middle finger when we don't acknowledge or use our gifts in our change making work. And you know, as a spiritual person, that when you're ungrateful, you are definitely blocking off your abundance channel because you're closing off a way to receive the abundance. Reception and receiving is all part of being grateful and being abundant. So it was really beautiful seeing folks recognize their true superpowers through their sun and what they are really meant to radiate in their change making work. And it was extra special to see that place of recognition where people have been devaluing their own superpowers and giving their power away. It was eye-opening. So if you want in on that exercise, again, it's in Radiate. It is free. It's for you. There is a worksheet that comes from that. So head on over to starpower.com/radiate and catch that replay. Now, this was especially true, I noticed, for the water sun people. Okay, so these are my Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces friends. It was really hard for them to, what I noticed, it was really hard for them to see the value in their own superpowers. And you know what? This is by design, right? Because water people, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, these are the people that have their superpowers based in emotional and intuitive labor. And quite frankly, it's simply just not valued by our culture and society. And we're changing this, right? As a change maker, we are here to claim and own our own power by expressing the value of all of our superpowers. So if we're expressing the value of our water sons, this superpower be intuition, holding space for healing, compassion, love, kindness, right? It is through the water and the healing of water that we can do these great things, because without emotional connection makes or breaks our ability to make decisions and take actions based on faith instead of fear. That is the power of water. And in the masterclass, when I was talking about the power of water and how we have to really express the value of this emotional and intuitive labor, I saw my water sun folks, their faces just light up in recognition, finally being able to recognize and own their own value. So I want to come back to this idea of the emotions and water and how it really makes or breaks our ability to spark a revolution. The reason why emotions make or break our ability to spark a revolution is because our emotions are the gateway into taking action. Of course, in astrology, from an purely elemental idea, we get our inspiration and our passion from fire. Right. And the fire is in the ether, it lives above us. And when we get this idea, this flash of inspiration, we then bring it into our mind. That's air. In the air, we logicize, we rationalize, we think about it, we intellect about it, we talk about it. And through that thinking about it, and sometimes there's mindset things in there too, but that mindset, those story sets, those belief sets are a combination of that air and that water. That water exists in our heart, our water body, our emotional sense. And if we're not feeling emotionally secure, like we're scared of the unknown or we are blocked by old stories and mindsets, guess what water is going to allow us to take action on? Because that earth, the water has to drop down in earth into our hands, into our feet, so that we can work on and make manifest and take practical action. And it's based on how we feel, right? So are we actually making decisions based on fear? Right? The fear of the unknown. So we're going to stay exactly where we are. The fear of we're never going to be good enough because we're believing stories, or the fear of I can't take a nap because otherwise I'll be judged lazy. Or are you going to make decisions based on faith, where you're so emotionally secure in what success and what you know you need, that even though society tells you that it's lazy to take a nap, even though your culture says it's lazy to take a nap, you know at an emotional level that taking a nap isn't laziness. It is part of being effective, because the more well rested you are, the more productive and effective you can be in your change making work and healing. And so it's simple things like making a decision based on the faith of emotional security Emotional security doesn't mean that you know what's going to happen or that you're not going to take a risk. Emotional security means that you trust in yourself and you know what you need versus fear of the unknown or fear of all of the different stories that you could be holding on to. Now, I know that this is not easy to dismantle, yet I'm going to fill you in on a secret. It can be. There are two things that you need to dismantle this action based on fear. It takes observation and choice. To observe is to recognize when you're stuck in a pattern. It's to recognize when you're making choices based on fear. And sometimes recognizing that observation and acknowledgement is simply all you need to then say, you know what, that choice has not worked for me before. So I'm going to take a different choice. But after you observe it, notice there is always a choice. Now, sometimes you can decide, I'm going to stay stuck in my trigger. I'm going to stay stuck in my past pattern. I know, I've been there. I still make those choices to stay in repeating past patterns. And hopefully, more often than not, you are choosing the choices that break us out of those patterns and move us forward. So, going back to that idea of laziness, I was talking to a one on one client in an Astro brand reading about the kind of business she wanted to build. And I could see it in her face. And she was telling me about just how exhausted she is doing everything, that she doesn't have enough help, that she's taking client calls at any time of the day, and that she has these big dreams for herself and her business, but has zero time to take care of that. And judging from her chart, I could see that she needed to rest as much as she needed to work. And I asked her when she was, scheduling her naps. When was she scheduling in her creative time, her spacious time to do the big things? How was she saving up some money or taking the leap of faith to hire somebody to help her, even when she didn't quite yet have the cash flow? And while she wasn't quite ready to make all of the changes that I could see as possibilities for her, we really did get to analyze her observation and recognition of the stories around laziness. In her culture and in her families, taking naps or not making every single minute productive was seen as a sign of laziness. And quite frankly, in her culture, she's an African American woman, an African American business owner, and in a lot of the African American societies, this idea of continuing to work is quite frankly a survival mode. And that is honest, right? Like, for those of us have been enslaved or colonized, we have been basically fear trodden to work and work and work and work. And this goes for other people too who haven't been colonized or enslaved. But this idea of laziness was a big trigger, so that she couldn't actually take the rest when she really, really, really needed it. And so we spent some time looking at her moon sign and looking at all of these different things as to how she could start to recognize laziness and how she could start to recognize when she was getting trapped in making decisions based on fear. I reminded her, and I want to share with you, that our moon sign shows us what we need in order to feel emotionally secure, so that we can make decisions based on faith, not in fear. Remember, fear, faith, intuition are always at play. And it's your job as a change maker to really discern who you want to have put in charge. And let me tell you, listen to your intuition. Your intuition will never lead you astray. Now, that's a whole nother topic about how to discern your intuition from fear, but start to create that relationship with your intuition so you know when she's talking. So, coming back to how to spark that revolution using your astrology. Well, number one, I really need you to know the energies that need to be amplified and radiated and expressed in your luminary leadership. Yes, your sun sign. Yes, your rising sign. Yes, your midheaven, your north node. All of those energies are your highest potentials, your stretch potentials that you need to stretch into, even if some of it is natural, just a natural talent that you need to add value to and recognize and amplify. Or this might be a new stretch skill like your rising sign that you're not totally sure of, but you're learning to trust. Number two, to spark that revolution using astrology is to, at the same time as you're expressing your luminary leadership on the outside, is to do that inner work of healing, dismantling, decolonizing your mindset, acknowledging your fears, and really doing all of that inner work to recognize what needs TLC so that these things don't keep us from radiating at our highest potential. So, that inner work of healing on our spiritual journey, doing that at the same time as you're working on your outer leadership, is how you spark a revolution. And doing these two things simultaneously starts with a choice. A choice to do something differently that stretches you into your highest potential instead of keeping you stuck in past patterns. And then the next choice is to continue choosing and choosing and choosing again and again. So, my friend, I hope that you here are inspired to spark that light within you and to light a path for a new way to spark your own revolution while also doing this in community. Change happens in every instance you decide to reflect. And remember, this is just the beginning and you're not alone. This is where community comes in. Community is at the core of the work that I want to bring to the fore. Community is a space for you to find your people from across the globe to gather, collaborate, and create the future you want to see through shared values like equality, inclusivity, and choice. Community is where your inner healing happens more quickly and with more potency when witnessed and supported by others. Community is where your leadership is awakened when there is an inner fire to serve. Community is where social impact happens. When ripple upon ripple, each person inspires others by example throughout the collective. Community matters to collaborate, co create, and do great things together, which is why I would like to formally invite you to my new community starting in 2023 called Star Powered Circle. Think of Star Powered Circle is where change makers come to work on their leadership, to be in community, and to learn about their highest potential through astrology. I have a vision that I'm holding for this new vessel as a gathering space for you to heal, commune, co-create, and radiate with astrology. I see an inner sanctuary and I see a multitude of souls all contributing, creating, collaborating, and creating the future we want to see, a future that is socially, economically, and environmentally just. As I envision this space, its purpose, its intention, I see you. I would love to invite you as a founding member with founding member rates until December 1st, 2022. Now, right after Radiate, I talked all about what this Star Powered Circle entails. And thank you to those of you who have already jumped in as a founding member. In Star Powered Circle, I have 3 levels. And the 3 levels, all of them include access to Star Powered Circle, where we have a full astrology library that has all of my work already in it. So, written in the stars, star powered position, and a number of other bonuses. You can check that out on starpowered.com/circle. And every month we'll be meeting up at least twice. We'll be having monthly meetups for the new moon ceremonies, and we'll be having these monthly star hours. Think of them as office hours with quick mini readings, speed readings. And if you watch that Radiate, at the end of Radiate, you can see what a star hours would look like because I was answering a bunch of people's astrology questions. It was so amazing. And this is where it gets really exciting. I'll be offering every quarter an astrology intensive, a 4-week training around celestial cycles, star-powered voice, star-powered style, and finally, Chiron and wounded leadership. So all of that at Star Powered Circle for only, there's a founder's rate, $111 a month for 12 months. I mean, that is a steal if I say so myself. Now, if you're someone who really desires that one-on-one mentorship with me, if you want one-on-one mentorship with me, there's 2 more levels up. One is the Luminary Leader, and one is the Illustrious Leader. And in each of those levels, you'll have access to monthly new moon mini readings, quarterly one-on-one sessions with me, Voxer access, bonus one-on-one readings, and so much more. So head on over to starpowered.com/circle to find out all the details and to sign up as a founding member. The prices are just amazing. There are bonuses if you pay in full for the year. And if this is a full body yes, if you're curious, please just join in right now. If you still want to learn more, watch that replay of Radiate. It was just so amazing. Now, if you have questions, hit me up, DM me, email me, however, I am all ears. I'd love to make this, I really designed this Star Powered Circle to make it as accessible as possible. I have something for all of you. If you want to learn astrology, tap into your highest potential, heal those past patterns so you can step into your star-powered luminary leadership. All right, my friends, let me know what resonated with you the most in sparking your revolution using astrology. Next week, I'll be talking about gratitude and the new moon in Sagittarius. All right, friends, talk to you soon. As a human design projector, my energy shines more brightly because of people like you who share my work. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help build a movement of innovative astrology and leadership and spark the intuitive revolution, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, or better yet, share this podcast with your change-making besties. We will all shine brighter together as we create the future we want to see.